In addition to the financial costs, did you realize that living in Bali can also be expensive? It is possible that the hidden costs of paradise will surprise you. These expenditures include things like accidentally knocking over precious offerings and negotiating hectic traffic. We invite you to accompany us as we follow the trip of a young digital nomad as he navigates the busy streets of Denpasar. Observe as he discovers the hard way that life in Bali is not all about cocktails and beaches. It is a cultural roller coaster that will leave you doubting everything you thought you knew about living on an island. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Observe as he discovers the hard way that life in Bali is not all about cocktails and beaches. It is a cultural roller coaster that will leave you doubting everything you thought you knew about living on an island. As soon as our digital nomad lands in Denpasar, the capital of Bali, his fantasies of a peaceful paradise begin to dissipate almost immediately. Rather than being greeted by peaceful rice terraces and gorgeous beaches, he is met with a cacophony of honking horns and the sticky embrace of tropical heat. There are a lot of people trying to get attention at the airport, including tourists, residents, and taxi drivers. As our protagonist makes his way through the packed terminal, the perfectly prepared vision of Bali that he has been working on begins to fall apart. He makes the decision to rent a scooter in order to fully immerse himself in the culture of the area. Little does he know that by making this choice, he will be forced into the middle of Bali's notoriously chaotic traffic situation. As he stands on the motorcycle, his hands begin to shake slightly. He then takes a big breath and blends into the crowd of automobiles that are surrounding him. There is a constant cacophony of horns filling the air, and scooters are weaving in and out of lanes. Cars are squeezing through narrow places that are impossible to fit through. Our digital nomad has a firm hold on the handlebars, and his knuckles are going white as he narrowly avoids collision after collision. He takes a detour along a street that is less chaotic in an effort to get away from the insanity. A wave of relief sweeps over him, and then all of a sudden his front wheel comes into contact with something. As he glances down, he is horrified to see a Kanang sari offering that has been exquisitely prepared and is dispersed throughout the concrete surface. A glaring reminder of his foreignness in this strange nation is the presence of colorful flower petals and incense sticks that are scattered around the ground. With expressions that are a mixture of concern and disdain, the villagers begin to crowd around and panic begins to set in. Our main character is intensely aware of his position as an outsider, and he has a profound sense of dislocation. He struggles to find the right words to express his deepest apologies, but the language barrier just serves to amplify his anguish. While he is standing there, surrounded by the remnants of the offering, he starts to comprehend the profound significance that these everyday rituals hold in the culture of Bali. In order to establish a fundamental connection between the physical and spiritual realms, these Kanangsari offerings, which have been meticulously created and placed outside of houses and businesses, are essential. They are not merely ornaments, rather they are an essential component of the Hindu practice in Bali, which contributes to the preservation of equilibrium between humans, nature, and the divine. In a desperate attempt to make amends, our digital nomad goes to a local store for additional assistance. As the local patiently and kindly explains how to correctly reproduce the offering, the native gives the instructions. They work together to meticulously arrange the flowers, rice, and incense, and then they place the new Kanang sari in the spot where the previous one had fallen. This seemingly insignificant act of cultural interchange actually turns out to be a turning moment, allowing our protagonist to become more aware of the complexity and depth of Balinese traditions. When the sun goes down on his first day in Bali, our digital nomad sits down and thinks about the unanticipated expenses that come with his new life. In addition to the financial implications, he is learning the cost of cultural adaptation, the toll of maintaining continual awareness in strange surroundings, and the emotional investment that is necessary to fully connect with a new location and the people who live there. During the time that the soft tones of gamelan start to drift away into the night in Bali, the true difficulties that our digital nomad faces are only starting to become apparent. What would happen if the very things that he uses to make a living suddenly turned out to be the most difficult challenge he faces? Newcomers are frequently taken aback by the challenges that are not immediately apparent in a country that is known for its breathtaking landscapes and lively cultures. Our protagonist is ready to begin a day of working remotely as soon as the sun rises, only to discover that his internet connection is sputtering and failing to function properly. In particular, the reality of Bali's unstable internet is felt most strongly in regions that are located outside of the popular tourist destinations of Kuta, Canggu, and Ubud. He rapidly realizes that consistent connectivity is not a given, and the endeavor to sustain productivity becomes a daily challenge for him to contend with throughout this time. He is both hungry and frustrated, so he decides to go out and try some of the regional cuisine at a food stall that is located nearby. At the same time that he is enjoying each meal, a nagging dread begins to sneak in. The flavors are appealing. It has been brought to his attention that several tourists have become unwell as a result of carelessly managed food, particularly meals that have been left out for several hours. Suddenly, it seems as though the meals that are inexpensive come with a hidden cost, which is the possibility of experiencing health problems. As the days go by, our digital nomad is confronted with yet another unanticipated obstacle: getting suitable lodging that is within his financial means. The picture-perfect villas that are featured on social media are either difficult to find or out of his price range. He starts to come to the realization that the Bali that he has envisioned in his mind is not without a significant cost associated with it. As he makes his way through the streets, he is greeted with a scene that pulls at his heartstrings: a large number of stray dogs roaming around. The inability to exercise control over animals and the sight of dogs that are ill and emaciated are both important to him. In stark contrast, it serves as a reminder of the complicated realities that lie beyond the apparent beauty of Bali. In the course of his research of the island, he visits well-known tourist destinations where he finds himself witnessing directly the effects of excessive tourism. Previously unspoiled beaches are now overrun with visitors, which places a strain on the resources available in the area. One comes to the conclusion that his presence, together with the presence of countless others, contributes to the pressure that is being exerted on the environment. Nevertheless, in the midst of all of these difficulties, an unexpected event starts to take place. As the story progresses, our protagonist finds that he is getting a deeper understanding for the culture of Bali. As he interacts with people and gains knowledge about their customs, he begins to see past the superficiality of the tourist experience. The daily gifts, which were formerly a source of uncertainty, now represent a lovely connection between the physical world and the spiritual world. A change occurs within him as the weeks morph into months, and he becomes aware of it. An awareness of his new home that is more sophisticated emerges after the first tensions have subsided. He adjusts, discovering solutions to the problems with the internet and developing a more acute awareness of the importance of making safe dietary choices. The most important thing is that he starts to enjoy the slower pace of life, discovering happiness in the simplest of moments and making connections with the people around him. As the trip of our digital nomad in Bali draws to a close, he comes to the realization that the ultimate cost of his experience ought not to be measured in rupiah, but rather in perspective. He has been transformed in ways that he never anticipated as a result of the difficulties he has encountered, which range from cultural misunderstandings to unstable internet. It is through slowing down that he has gained the ability to enjoy the rhythms of Balinese life and to discover delight in the most mundane of times. This change did not come about without any difficulty. In order to overcome each challenge, he had to be flexible, to think imaginatively, and to venture beyond of his comfort zone. Because of the challenges of adjusting to a new culture, I gained a more profound understanding and appreciation of the customs that are practiced in Bali. At this point in time, he does not consider the daily contributions to be an annoyance. Rather, he views them as lovely reminders of the spiritual core of the island. As he gets ready to go, he ponders the following question: is the true value of travel not found in the picture-perfect moments that we experience, but rather in the testimonies that mold us? In what ways could you be able to alter your perspective of the world and of yourself by venturing outside of your comfort zone?